Welcome to the Window Cleaning Association podcast. Okay, so here's something you might not expect. Window cleaning in the UK doesn't require a single legal qualification, none. But the risks, they're very real. And today, we're diving into why training might be the most important thing you didn't know about this trade.
Oh, that's interesting. I think most people assume there's some kind of certification involved, especially when you think about how risky the job can be.
Exactly. And that's the thing. There's no official license or qualification you need to start cleaning windows, but that doesn't mean you can just grab a ladder and a bucket and call it a day. The reality is, window cleaning is a skilled trade, and it comes with a lot of responsibilities.
Right, and I imagine those responsibilities go beyond just making sure the glass is streak-free. What are we talking about here? Safety, professionalism.
Both and more. Safety is a huge part of it. You're working at heights, using ladders, handling heavy equipment, and sometimes even working near overhead power lines. And then there's the professionalism side, things like maintaining your equipment, managing risks, and presenting yourself as a reliable contractor.
That makes sense. So even though there's no legal requirement for training, it sounds like it's pretty much essential if you want to do the job well. And safely.
Absolutely. And let's start with one of the biggest risks in the industry, working at height. It's not just about climbing a ladder, it's about understanding how to assess access points, recognizing unsafe ground conditions, and knowing when a job is just too dangerous to take on.
That's such an important point. I think a lot of people underestimate how dangerous working at height can be. Are there specific training courses for this?
There are, and they're highly recommended. Working at height training teaches you how to plan your work safely, use the right equipment, and make informed decisions on the job. It's not just about protecting yourself either. It's about protecting your clients, your team, and even the public.
And I imagine ladders are a big part of that conversation, right? I mean, they're such a common tool, but they can also be incredibly dangerous if used incorrectly.
Oh, for sure. Ladder safety training is another key area. It covers everything from inspecting your ladder for damage to positioning it at the correct angle and securing it properly. Even something as simple as overreaching can lead to serious accidents if you're not careful.
That's really eye-opening. And then there's the issue of overhead power lines, which I hadn't even thought about before. How does that factor into window cleaning?
It's a huge risk, especially for cleaners using water-fed poles. These poles can extend to significant heights, and if they come into contact with or even get too close to a power line, the consequences can be fatal. That's why awareness training for overhead power lines is so important. It teaches you how to identify risks, maintain safe distances, and know when to walk away from a job.
It's incredible how many layers there are to this job. And it's not just the big, obvious risks like heights and power lines, is it? There are also more subtle dangers, like repetitive strain injuries or even water hygiene issues.
Exactly. Manual handling training can help with the physical side of things, like lifting and moving equipment safely to avoid long-term injuries. And if you're using a water-fed pole system, you need to understand the risks of things like Legionella bacteria, especially if you're storing water in tanks or using filtration systems.
That's something I never would have thought about. Water hygiene in window cleaning. But it makes sense, especially if you're working with stored water.
It's one of those hidden risks that people don't really think about, but it's crucial to address. And then there's the issue of slips, trips, and falls, which is especially important if you're working in public areas.
Right? Because you've got hoses running across pavements, wet surfaces, and uneven ground. It sounds like a recipe for accidents if you're not careful.
Exactly. That's why training in slips, trips, and falls awareness is so important. It's about learning how to manage your equipment and your workspace to minimize risks, not just for yourself, but for anyone who might be walking by.
And that ties into risk assessment training, doesn't it? I imagine a good window cleaner doesn't just show up and start cleaning. They assess the site first to identify potential hazards.
Absolutely. Risk assessment is one of the most important skills in professional window cleaning. It's about being proactive rather than reactive, spotting potential problems before they become actual problems.
That's such a good point. And I imagine this is especially important if you're working with commercial clients who probably have stricter safety requirements than residential customers.
Oh, definitely. Many commercial clients won't even let you on site unless you can prove you've had the right training. They want to see things like working at height training, ladder safety training, and even method statements and risk assessments.
It's all about reassuring the client that you know what you're doing and that their staff, customers, and property are safe in your hands.
Exactly. And that professionalism extends beyond just safety. Things like wearing a uniform, keeping your equipment clean and well maintained, and using warning signs all contribute to how you're perceived as a business.
Definitely. First impressions matter, and if you show up looking disorganized or unprepared, it's going to reflect poorly on you, even if you do a great job cleaning the windows.
So, for anyone thinking about getting into window cleaning, the key takeaway here is that while you don't need a specific qualification to start, proper training is essential if you want to do the job safely and professionally.
Exactly. And it's not just about ticking boxes or meeting client requirements. It's about protecting yourself, your team, and the people around you.
And let's not forget, training also helps raise the standard of the whole industry. The more window cleaners take safety and professionalism seriously, the better the reputation of the trade as a whole.
That's such a good point. Window cleaning is a skilled trade, and it deserves to be treated like one.
So if you're thinking about starting out, look into courses like cleaning windows safely, working at height training, and ladder safety training. These are all great places to start.
And if you're already in the industry but haven't had much formal training, it's never too late to invest in yourself and your business.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, window cleaning can be a great trade and a great business, but only if it's done safely, professionally, and properly.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for listening, and be sure to check out the training available at www.thewca.uk, including the free overhead powerline module.